What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. How's it going? Great to see some of the regulars here in the chat. Spell Strike Tactical, Manuel Marquez. Great to see you. Dario, how are you? How are all of you beautiful people? Today, we've got a very special guest filling in. KG for Raymmar and Francisco, who are on assignment on site at VibeCon in New York City. And KG, say hi to everybody. How's it going?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks, Manny, for having me on. Kind of B-string filling in here because everybody else is having fun in New York City, but it's all good. Here to have some fun and go over some pretty cool stuff today. So, yeah.
Had to pull you off the bench, KG, to fill in, help me out here. Thank you so much. Yeah, I've got a jam-packed show. Today, we're going to be covering our new integrations in Claude that allow you to kick work off in Claude and finish it up in Replit, bring it to life. So a lot of good stuff there. And we also have a very special guest from the Race to Revenue series, Carlos, who's going to be joining us to talk to us about his experience with Race to Revenue, what he's building, what he's learned, any tips, any tactics we can learn from him as he's building his business and as he's bringing it to life using Replit. So with that, let's kick off with this week in Replit. A lot to cover. So let me pull that up here. And as we're getting going in the chat, I'd love to hear, what have you been building this past week? What are you excited about for today's show? We're talking about integrations for Replit in Claude. Have you been using Claude? Have you been pushing some of that work to Replit? I've seen a couple of comments on socials around a lot of people liking this flow of starting their work in Claude and then finishing it up in Replit. So if that's you, please drop that in the comments. Okay, so let's see here.
Yeah, so pretty jam-packed today. The new Claude integration, or Claude Design integration, is huge. So
I know we've got some special guests to talk about that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. This week in Replit, big announcements today. So as you saw yesterday, we announced our new integrations in Claude for Replit. Two big things that ship. Now we allow you to export your design that you might start off with in Claude Design. So you can work on your design, your prototype, and when you like the overall look and feel of it, then you can export that to Replit to add different things like authentication, AI services, databases, and ultimately deploy that design and make it a real app. We also announced our new Replit Connector in Claude that allows you to assign tasks while you're in Claude as well. A lot to talk about there. We're going to have Pablo and Jean-Luc from our technical team here at Replit to walk us through all of those details. But I know this is something that people have been excited about. I've been seeing a lot of great comments on socials around this. And this is sort of a nice workflow that people like, starting in Claude and then shipping to Replit. If that's you, drop it in the comments. Love to hear how you're using that. Also, big news here. Now we have a voice mode with Replit Agent. So you can yap your idea into Replit and have Agent build it out for you. I really like this mode. I like to go into voice mode and just start talking about what I want to build and give Replit Agent some guidance. And so I know for a lot of you, this is going to be a really nice feature. So definitely check that out. All you have to do is hover over to that little microphone icon and just talk to Agent, and that'll get transcribed into text, and you can kind of just go back and forth with Agent like this. What do you think about this, KG?
This is huge. I'm so happy about this. I've been asking for this for months in the background. I was like trying to say, hey, I'll just build it myself, blah, 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 blah. So good to see this in. For me personally, limiting as many external kind of software that I need to use is way good. Everything's all set up in the system, so I don't have to use WhisperFlow anymore or whatever else. So one less subscription.
Yeah, absolutely. And the great thing here, this is available on all of our services. So whether you're on the desktop app, the web, on the browser, or on your mobile, it's going to be available for you. So definitely go and try that out. Okay. Also, big recognition for us. Replit got named Databricks App Generation Partner of the Year at their AI Summit this past week. And just great to see that recognition from Databricks. We've been doing a lot of great work with them, some integration work, so that allows you to pull your data in from Databricks into Replit, build really interesting and beautiful applications, and then push that back to Databricks to have it be secure and have it be in line with your company's overall governance guidance. So just one more thing to add here, and really nice to get this recognition. Also, we are now available on the Databricks marketplace. So if your company is a Databricks shop, definitely go and check that out. And I'm sure you've been seeing this on socials, but VibeCon is happening now in New York City. Kicked off yesterday. Day 2 is today. A lot of great exhibits, a lot of great videos. People are really loving this idea of thinking about vibe coding as more of a creative function, thinking about how vibe coding intertwines with art, code, and culture. We've been seeing some really nice clips coming out of VibeCon, and Raymmar and Francisco are there, and they were nice enough to put together a nice little package for us, nice little video for us to get a sense of what's going on. So let me play that for everybody now.
All right, what's up, everybody?
Hey, everyone.
Hey, it's Raymmar Francisco out here at VibeCon NYC. Got the cocktail party happening behind us. Day 1 in the books.
So exciting. It was great to see, just Spike Jones, McKelly, Amjad. We had so many creatives out here, but we miss all of you. We just wanted to say hello to the entire community, and thanks so much for, again, joining us this morning. And we're going to be here at VibeCon one more day, but we'll be back very, very soon. We're super excited. It's just amazing to see all of the ambassador creations as well. We saw video games, artworks, and Kim will be on tomorrow, so great shows ahead.
Yeah, it's such a cool event. I mean, a lot of conferences are like, not this. You know, this was very much like an immersive experience. AI meeting technology, meeting culture, how creatives are using AI in very unique ways. So just super exciting to see Replit penetrating the creative market like this, and setting a standard for what a little conference like this can be, that's not like super rigid by the books, just everyone going from talk to talk, all these little immersive exhibits. Maybe we'll share some video of that stuff too, so you guys can check that out.
Yeah, a little standard. I don't know. After this event, I don't think I'll ever go back to the normal tech conference. It's going to be very, very odd going back to that sort of original, classic sort of schedule.
100%, and we're super excited to get back to the office and get back to the regular routine. But until then, we're going to enjoy the rest of VibeCon. Big party happening behind us. Catch you on the next stream.
See you soon. Good to see you. Yeah, here's my wife. Oh, fantastic. We are getting.
Wow, those guys are having fun.
Yeah, they are. It's so cool. Wish I was there, but timing didn't work out. Still, it looks rad. I've been seeing a lot of really cool stuff from people posting on socials too. So yeah.
I hope we make this a regular thing. I think this is really neat. We've been mentioning this on past streams, but it seems like vibe coding is going mainstream, and part of that is that vibe coding is being used as a creative tool for artists and more creative type of folks. I've been at a couple of events and I've been really blown away with what these folks can do with the tool like Replit. And me, sort of more of a left brain type of person, more of an analytical person, I'm just always like surprised as like what they do, like the creativity that I see there. So more on this. Again, I hope this becomes a regular thing. So I've seen a lot of like, FOMO here is real. If that's you, don't worry. Like I'm sure we'll do something similar. If not, just kind of, be on the lookout for VibeCon 2027 and be sure to sign up for that.
Yeah, Manny, we out next year. We're going for sure.
Oh yeah, right. Exactly. We got to switch it. They got to hold down the fort. We got to head to VibeCon. Awesome. Very neat. So as I mentioned, jam-packed show today. We're going to be talking about our new Replit and Claude integrations with Jean-Luc and Pablo, who are backstage. They're going to join us in a little bit. Then we have Carlos Andres, founder of NeuraAgro. He's based out of Medellín, Colombia, and was part of our Race to Revenue series. Actually, the last episode just dropped on YouTube, right? You were mentioning KG. So
Yeah.
So definitely go and check that out. I think it was episode 8, and the whole series is really, really well done. High production value, following folks starting their idea and building it out in Replit, getting coaching, everything from the ideation to the iteration, pivoting into going out and getting customers and making it a real business. So definitely go check out this series. If you have been checking out the series, drop it in the chat. I'd love to see what you think so far, and maybe if you have a favorite episode, drop that in there as well. All right. With that, let's bring on our next guest to talk about our new Claude integrations. So let's bring on Pablo and Jean-Luc. We're going to be chatting about our new integrations in Claude. Really excited about this, particularly for some of you heavy Claude users. Seeing this on socials quite a bit, that some of you like to start off in Claude. And then when you're ready to make that real, you like to push that work over to Replit. Now we're making that super easy with 2 new integrations. The first one is our new Claude Design Export. So now you can start in Claude Design, start iterating on an idea, get to a front end, some UI that you like, polish that up. And then when you're ready to make that real, now we make it super easy for you to export that UI, that prototype into Replit and start building out start actually building out a real application. You can add AI integrations, you can add authentication, databases, then you can publish the application and share it with the world. We also announced a new connector within Claude. So as you're chatting with Claude and you want to offload some of that work, you can now call Replit and send that work directly to Replit and have Replit build that out for you as well. We're going to be demoing these 2 functionalities with 2 members of our technical team here at Replit, Jean-Luc and Pablo here on the show. What's up, Jean-Luc? What's up, Pablo? How's it going?
Hey, how's it going? Nice to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so let's kick off with this, Jean-Luc, Pablo. Tell us a little bit more about these integrations. Why are you excited about it, and who's this for in particular?
Yeah, so I think as like professionals, as creatives, you tend to use a lot of different tools, and I think we're really excited to make it more seamless to move into the Replit platform and kind of like start where you typically are and then end up with the full power of Replit at the end. So that's why we're really excited to start off with this export functionality.
Cool. And I would imagine there's been a fair amount of work back and forth with you and the Anthropic team to make this happen.
Oh yeah, it was a real crunch last week. It was a lot of like nights of working, probably till like 9-10 p.m. some of them, but we made it happen.
Nice. Okay, very neat. So let me just pull up Claude and let's just walk through a demo to see how this works. Okay, so let me bring up my screen here. So let me share this tab. Okay, so the first thing to note is that you're going to want to activate the connector within Replit. So if you're in Claude, you want to head over to Customize, to Connectors, Browse Plugins, and then head over to Connectors here and search for Replit. And then you'll click on that and you'll get an option here to connect, and that's going to send you over to Replit. You'll just sign in with your Replit account. And then you'll also be asked to assign workspaces for where you want this integration to work. So if you have different teams or you have different workspaces within those team accounts, then you can specify which of those workspaces this integration works with, which I really like. I really like that control. I really like the ability to select those different workspaces. But then once you're here, you can head over to design. This launched maybe 2 months ago. And the idea here in Claude is to give you a surface to quickly prototype an application, put together a wireframe and different artifacts, and then kind of riff on the UI and the design in a kind of a fast, efficient type of way. So if I click here on product prototype, and I drop in a prompt here. Let me bring in something here that I was working on yesterday. I can show you how this works. So I'm going to drop that in there. So I'm having Claude Design put together a landing page for the Vibe Start, a podcast on building businesses with vibe coding using tools like Replit. I'm just giving it some guidance in terms of what I'm looking for. And I'm going to go ahead and click send on that. And Claude Design is going to go and work on the front end for this and give me something to kind of riff off of and get some feedback on. Very neat. So as this is cooking, Jean-Luc, Pablo, tell us a little bit about what's going on under the hood here.
Yeah, so basically it is connecting to the, well, right now it is using Claude, but if we export it, it's going to connect to the Replit MCP that Jean-Luc worked a lot into. And what it's going to do is going to bundle all the static HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code and send it to the repo, which is going to be in the workspace you defined. There, the agent is going to be able to dynamically change it or use it on your app, or like get it better onto like put it on your web app, etc.
Gotcha. Yeah, and then I was playing, and I've seen a couple of comments here in the chat. Some folks are already working with this integration. Yeah, I was playing around with it yesterday. Worked really well. I guess as this is coming up, what's the level of fidelity that I can expect here, Jean-Luc and Pablo? Like, am I expecting like the exact same thing that I see in Claude Design to be exported to Replit? If not, what might be some of the variations I might see?
Yeah, we really try to make it as one-to-one as possible. From the extensive testing we've done, it is one-to-one. If you see anything off, then definitely file a bug. But yeah, we wanted to come in exactly so you can then iterate further on Replit and then deploy it from there.
And we saw a number of different artifact options that I got before going into the prototype option. I think like slides and the wireframes. Like, would this export functionality work for any one of those options?
I think primarily it works for web. That's really what we're targeting here. Yeah, I think we're looking to kind of support more of them moving forward. But the one where we can guarantee one-to-one the most is through this like web that we're seeing right now.
Gotcha. So best if you're sticking with the web application option here for the export.
Yeah.
Cool. Very neat. Yeah. So as you see here, Claude is cooking on this, giving me some nice options, and then I'm waiting for this to wrap here, but pretty soon once this is done, let's see here. Just doing a little check-in here. Then I'll be able to head over to, okay, cool. So it looks like it's done. That was pretty fast.
I think there's one question that I saw in the chat, which was like, does this consume Replit or Claude credits? So while you're iterating here, it's Claude. When you move it over into the export, via the export, you'll start consuming the Replit credits.
Yes, great call out. The other thing that, well, there's one other question that I want to get to, but first I want to show you how this works. So now like this design is done. I can iterate on this here. I can work with Claude. And again, to your point, Jean-Luc, this is consuming Claude credits. And then when I'm ready to share this, then I can head over to share because I've already turned on that connector. I'm going to see the option to send over to Replit. And so I'm just going to click on that. And now Claude is going to work on packaging this up and sending it over to Replit and getting it ready for me to use in Replit. So I guess maybe we should spend a little bit more time here, Jean-Luc and Pablo, and talking about why this workflow might work for some folks. From what I've seen, some people like to just start off here on the design front, just iterate, get a sense of what they're trying to build. Maybe it's just an idea that they're trying to brainstorm, and just kind of get a good sense of where the UI is going to go. And then when they want to make it real, that's when they want to push it to Replit. So it's important to note that this is just a UI. This is just a front end. It's not a fully fledged application. You still have to do a bunch of other stuff to build out the back end in particular. And if you want to add additional functionality, more complicated stuff that you'll need to actually deploy an app, that's when you want to start moving it to Replit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's so much involved in making a real website and hosting it and all the stuff that comes with that. And Replit kind of just makes it seamless. You don't have to worry about that. And we kind of want to bring that power over to where you're used to working. A lot of people have a daily driver LLM, whether it's Claude, ChatGPT, whatever, and we want to bring that like full power of Replit over to you guys so you can just seamlessly move into it.
Right. So, like for example, tangibly, like you might want to add some AI functionality to this. You may want to have like a functionality that transcribes the podcast or like allows you to chat with the podcast. You have to set up the API services for that. You're going to want a backend for that. That's what you're going to want to do on the Replit side. You might want to add some user authentication or some like specific user functionality or email services. That's stuff that you're going to need a backend for. That's stuff that you're going to want to do on Replit. If you want to deploy this, I can't deploy this right now as an app. I want to push that over to Replit and deploy it. So I think, again, like, starting off with the UI, getting the sense of the design, and then actually making it a fully fledged application, that's where you're going to want to push it to Replit. And some questions here that are coming through. How about going back and forth? So is this a one-way, one-time only type of export, or can I continue to iterate here on my Claude design and then have those changes be pushed to Replit?
So for now, it is only one way. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jean-Luc. And so you only are able to send your designs through your REPL. But what you can do is basically iterate over your designs in Claude and be sending them, because you're able to do that. But we are working in the future to make it like 2 ways, so we can you can share back whatever the agent in Replit change it. So that would be a more seamless integration. Also, there's
go ahead.
So also there's another question: if you're able to take your project that is already in Replit and move it back to Claude. Right now, that is not possible. But we believe like as this integration and partnership gets more mature, we're gonna be able to do it very soon.
Yeah, I want to emphasize that we're still like in the very early stages of exploring what's possible here. And we started with the flow that we think would have the most immediate impact, which is moving from Claude into Replit. But yeah, we're playing around with ideas for doing it backwards, and maybe you can like iterate on both sides at the same time and have that sync and so on. There's a lot of technical challenges with everything, so we just wanted to get a simple use case out first to see kind of how it goes.
Very neat. And so as we were talking, you see this option now that I have to open in Replit, that import has been successful. Now I'm going to click on that, and then you'll see this. You see the Replit project be spun up here. And so maybe talk to us a little bit about what's going on here on this end. I see that I have a task now that has been initiated. I have a plan. I already have a preview of the app, and that actually looks really good. So if I look at what I had here, in Claude Code, okay, so the ticker up here, kind of minimalist design, and then I look at what I have here in Replit, that looks spot on. I don't even see a difference.
Yeah, like I said, we try to make it as one-to-one as possible. And yeah, what's going on when you first import it, we actually just kick off the agent right away to try to turn it into a functioning app immediately. You're free to kind of like stop this process if you want, and then kind of guide the agent in a different direction. But we wanted to kind of have it doing something right away the moment you import, so you're not just looking at a blank screen without knowing what to do next.
And it's important to know at this point, this is where you'll start consuming Replit credits. I guess, for the import, is that costing folks Replit credits? The import is free.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Yep, import's free. If you stop it right away, it won't burn any credits. Yeah, it's primarily the agent work that costs credits.
Gotcha. And then if I go here and I click on the plan, I see the task that's been assigned to Replit. I guess one of the questions that I had, Pablo and Jean-Luc, is, so it seems like the import is coming in and it's already automatically building out the backend. So it's assuming that I like the design, I'm comfortable with it, I'm ready to build out the full application. But what if I wanted to bring it into Replit to just iterate further on the design without having to build out the backend just yet? Is that an option right now?
Yes. Again, you have to stop it and then re-guide it. I think I'm also seeing in the chat that a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know if we wanted to go this direction. I would like to iterate a bit more. So we're still playing around with this like kickoff and what exactly is going to happen on this side once you import. But for now, if you stop it, you can basically redirect it to whatever you want. And yeah, we'd love to hear some user feedback on what exactly you would want to happen after this.
Gotcha. So I've got the front end that automatically comes in. That happens out of the gate. So before this kicks off, I can say like, stop this. And then like, I can say like, can you make this a dark mode? And then like iterate on the design here further. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What do you know what plans this is available for? I guess on the Claude side, on the Replit side, do I need to be on paid plans for both of those, or do you know if it's available on the free options?
It's available on the free options.
Yeah, for both.
Only I think on Cloud side you need to have like a Cloud paid account. So it is only free on Replit side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So this is available to everybody. Yeah, I think people really are digging this. I'm seeing a lot of great comments here. +1 on multiple accounts. Okay, so I guess people are asking like, what if you have multiple Replit accounts? I guess at that point you'd have to disconnect from one account and then reconnect to another account that you want to export into.
Sorry, could you say it one more time? I was reading the comments, got absorbed.
Oh yeah. No, I think folks are asking about like, what if I have multiple Replit accounts? So for that, I'm guessing that you'll have to disconnect from a current Replit account that you're logged into and then reconnect into another Replit account.
when you first set up the connector, the Replit connector, the first thing that happens is you'll get kind of like a login screen. You'll get redirected to Replit, and you log in with your account there. You select what workspace you want to put things into, and then that's kind of like locked to that connector. If you want to change that, you'll have to go into the Claude settings and disconnect, and then reconnect again, and you can select something else.
I also saw another good question here around the big difference between Replit Design Mode and Claude Design Mode. Feel free to jump in here, but my sense is it's a matter of convenience. So I think, some people like working with Claude for that initial brainstorming. I prefer just to go into Replit and go into Design Mode. So if I go back here and I share this tab and I just click on Design, I can go into here and pick different templates. I can also drop in the same prompt here as well. And I think it's just a matter of preference. I would start here just because I don't have that export step to do. But if you're someone that's really into Claude, if you already have a lot of context there, I also saw some folks that already had skills and different details there on the project they're working with, you can start there. But I would say it's sort of my preference is to start in Design Mode in Replit. But if it's more convenient for you to start in Claude, this integration is going to work for that.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I want to highlight too is a lot of people have Claude set up with tons of different connectors that is very personal to them and pulls information from all over the place. So a typical flow is that you'll have a brainstorming session with Claude that pulls information from everywhere. And before, you'd have to kind of go through the conversation yourself and figure out how to summarize all that and to move it into Replit. But now you can just get Claude to do all that, right? So it can act as like an information funnel into your final product in Replit.
Yeah. Okay. Very neat. Yeah. So definitely try that out. Would love to see some feedback from the folks. Have you tried this out already? Have you tried out this integration? It just dropped yesterday afternoon. So if you were trying to do something similar previously, definitely try it again, and would love to see your feedback in terms of what you like, what you don't like. We're getting some folks that are saying no sound.
Was that me?
No, I don't. Well, I hear you just fine. So yeah, sound is gone. Let me just double check this here.
Jean-Luc, I was thinking it would be so nice if there was like a design benchmark to test like which is better, if Claude Design or Replit Design.
Yeah, we gotta get on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, sound. Yeah, Uncle Fatty. Yeah, I hear I just checked the YouTube. So if you lost sound, just maybe reset your YouTube. Yeah, a couple of folks I can hear. Yeah, it's 50-50. All right. Very neat. Okay, so so that's the anything else to touch on for Claude Design and this new export functionality? Otherwise, we can also talk about the connector that we also launched as well.
Yeah, I think we can talk about the connector. Barring any more questions.
Yeah, so maybe as I'm queuing that up, what's the big difference here in terms of the export functionality in the connector?
It's very similar. The idea for both is to move information from the Claude platform into Replit. But I would say the export for Claude Design is very much constrained to that specific use case, iterating on a design and moving that over. Whereas it's with the actual connector itself, it's much more open-ended. You're able to get Claude to kind of create an app about anything and further iterate it within the chat, and it can kind of like ask questions about it too to get more information. So I would say the big difference is, yeah, how narrow it is, the scope of it.
Yeah, and for me, where the connector seems handy is like, say I start like a brainstorming session with Claude. Like here, I'm asking Claude to help me work on a doggy daycare that I might be considering, and I just want to chat with Claude around like what I should call it, maybe some details. I can drop that in there, and I can just have a conversation with Claude, and I'm just kind of going back and forth. And to your point, Jean-Luc, folks might already have context for this. They might want to pull stuff in, or they have different connectors they want to tie in already into Claude. You could just kind of riff on this. So let's call this, let's go with this. Drop it in there. Like, I like this name, and just kind of keep chatting with Claude and just have an extended conversation. You can have Claude do research and then work on this. And then say, like, I'm at a good place, and now I want to build this out. Now I could just call from I can just have Claude send this to Replit and start building this out. So I might just say, okay, now can you build this in Replit? And send that through. And now Claude should look for that tool and start sending it over to Replit. What's interesting about this, Jean-Luc and Pablo, is that I didn't have to like call Replit specifically. I didn't have to do like the @ or a / command into Replit. Is that fair? I could just say the word Replit and Claude knows to send it there.
Yeah. I'm wondering if it's worth going into a bit of technical detail on what
please,
exactly
yeah,
this
please,
is.
let's do it.
Yeah, and this also touches on another question that was asking, is this going to be available in other LLM clients like ChatGPT, Grok, etc.? The answer is yes, because it's based around MCP, which you might have heard. It's a buzzword in the AI industry now. And when people say connectors, that's kind of like the marketing term for MCP, which is a protocol for which you can have functionality across all LLMs. And all the LLMs speak it, like Claude, ChatGPT, etc. They all know how to communicate this. And now we have chosen to speak the same language, so we can integrate with all of them at once. And the cool thing about MCP is that it kind of tells the AI what it can do under the hood. So ours will be like, hey, I'm Replit. This is what you can do with Replit. You can build apps. Here's how you can like tell me how to build an app. And the AI will intelligently decide when that functionality is needed. So you don't actually have to say like @Replit or anything like that, because it just knows, oh, I need to build an app. Let me send it to Replit.
Gotcha. Yeah. And then, so as this is building out, like, so here, I guess, what's like the back and forth here with Replit? If I say like, I want to make changes to this Replit project that's been stood up, can I do that here from Claude, or is that work that I want to start doing in Replit as soon as it's exported?
Yeah. So going back to what I said earlier, we're starting off with primarily a one-time flow over to Replit. That said, we do have some like preliminary functionality. Once this finishes, you'll see those can be previewed, where you can basically tell Claude to maybe change a couple things, and it will send off another instruction to the same REPL, the same project in Replit side. So you can iterate a little bit, but we're looking to kind of improve this experience. So again, like, as much user feedback as you can give us would be amazing. I think the ultimate goal is to have like all of Replit be fully controllable from Claude. And that includes like the deployment pipeline, that includes like a better iteration story, more artifacts than just websites. You know, as you know, like Replit can do slides and animations and all that as well. Right now, this is limited to just apps and websites. So yeah, we're really looking to expand here, but for now, it's mostly this one-time transfer.
Gotcha. And
yeah,
so this works for chat. This is chat, and this works for Claude Design. There's also Cowork that people might be using. Would this connector work for Cowork as well?
Yeah. So because it's MCP, it pretty much works everywhere. It works with Claude Code too. Any clients that knows how to speak MCP, you can use this with.
Gotcha. And then aside from exporting or like kicking off jobs in Replit, any other use cases that people should be thinking about, or maybe like give us a little bit of a tease on the roadmap? What else are you thinking about building out?
I think the most immediate thing we're targeting is kind of like the deployment phase, right? Because right now, it's mostly on the creative side when you first create the app, but once you're ready to actually publish it, you really have to go into the Replit platform. We want that to be available in Claude and other clients, so you can do that. And the other thing, like I said, is we want to bring in more artifacts. And it's tricky, right? Because how do you show like 17 slides inside of a chat? It's a much different like interface than a normal website. So we're still working through how we're going to approach that. But I would say, yeah, that's on the roadmap. And in terms of like cool use cases, yeah, we've seen some like emergent behavior. One of the things you can do is kind of scale up. So Claude can really in the background create a ton of different apps at once, and you can almost like automate actions on Replit. And I think that's like one of the cool emergent use cases we found. But yeah, we're keeping our eyes peeled to see how people use this.
Ooh, can you tell me a little bit more about that? That last use case that you mentioned around like multiple tasks and like having to be a little bit more automated.
Yeah, because you're not the person directly driving Replit anymore. It's actually like your AI. The AI can theoretically run in the background and do whatever you instruct it to in the long run, right? So you can do multiple apps. You can kind of like, once we have the deployment, you can like automate like deployment flows better and so on. I think there's like an automation story that we're trying to push here. Yeah.
Very neat. So as you mentioned, Jean-Luc, this is also available in ChatGPT. We talked about this a couple months back. You can call Replit from ChatGPT, similar to what I'm showing here. And then actually, as we're doing that, let me head over to Replit and get this build that just got completed. But there's, we have this MCP. It works with Claude, works with ChatGPT. Any, are we thinking about rolling this out and making this more readily available? There's some folks here that work in Cursor, Hermes. Like, are we thinking about making this just like more broadly available across other applications that people like to use?
Yeah. So, yeah. Once again, because it's the MCP, you can pretty much use it anywhere. Though I will expect that different clients will kind of have different UI requirements, UI/UX. The way you use like OpenClaw and Hermes agents is very different than, Claude or even Claude Code. So yeah, we'll be looking at how to like kind of customize the UI for all these things, and based on how people end up using it.
Very neat. So let me bring this up. I ran the same prompt yesterday or earlier today around happy pause and getting the UI for this. So let me bring that up to give folks a sense of what this looks like. That's loading here. So I'll bring this up in a bit here. But as that's loading, let's see if we have any other questions here. Cool. Yeah. So I think some other folks were asking around, aside from this new export, like other ways to get your projects from other services into Replit. And my general guidance there is you have different options. One, you can just screenshot things and put them into Replit Agent and just start building from scratch there. You can also upload to GitHub and bring that GitHub link or repo into Replit. And you can also just drop in files directly into Replit. So if you're working somewhere else, you can zip that up and grab all of the files and then just drop it into a prompt with Replit Agent and have Replit Agent start building that out. So a number of like just different ways for you to get your work into Replit. We also have a number of importers from other areas as well. So depends on where you're jumping off from, but I give you those options. And then you can also just search like, hey, I'm starting here and I want to go to Replit. What's the best importer functionality? And I'm sure we have some documentation on that.
Yeah. We got to update the documentation, but yeah, we'll come back with a link to that relatively soon.
All right, let me just bring this up here. Okay, so this is my my Possum Days Doggy Daycare. So again, this started off with the conversation in Claude, and I just kind of going back and forth on the name and different like and the copy benefits. And so now I have this here in Replit, sort of starting off in conversation mode with Claude, which I really like. And then somebody asked, like, okay, how do I deploy? That's pretty straightforward here in Replit. So if I go to publishing and I head over to making this public, check my URL, and then public. And then I can just go ahead and publish this and I'm ready to go. So this is again, the neat thing about working in Replit, that you can actually publish this and share it with the world. Very neat. Awesome. So yeah, Pablo, Jean-Luc, any other comments or any other suggestions you want to drop for folks?
Yeah, I think, like I was saying, we're going to drop documentation, not for how to hook this up in Claude, but like how the actual MCP endpoint works and how to use that. So if you're like technically inclined, I think this is going to be a fun one to play with. Yeah, so please stay tuned for a link to that.
Very neat. Awesome. People are digging this. Yeah, as I mentioned, definitely try this out. I think it'd be pleasantly surprised, especially if you're a big Claude user. Would love to get your feedback. And what's the best way for folks to get that feedback to us, Pablo and Jean-Luc?
Man, that's a good question. I think that's a better, probably like Discord, things like that. We're trying to figure out like what a better channel is. I think in the future, we're going to have a pretty crazy method where you can literally just tell Claude to give Replit feedback, and then it'll end up with our team. But that's coming up.
For now, I was supposed to maybe in X LinkedIn your channels, Manny.
Yeah, tell Manny.
We will see them.
Definitely. I'd love to hear about this. I was responding to a whole bunch of comments on the main announcement yesterday, just getting feedback on how folks are using this. But definitely post it on X, tag me. If you're in the Discord, feel free to drop it in the Discord and tag me as well, and I'll be sure to get the feedback over to the team. But with that, Jean-Luc, Pablo, thank you so much for coming on the show and chatting about this with us. This is really cool. We're excited about this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Cheers. All right, KG, what's up? Welcome back.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, that's super cool, man. Being able to just dive back and forth between Claude and send it over to Replit definitely helps get the kind of design ideation and everything, the framework, done pretty quick. And my personal experience, Claude on itself usually has a little bit better taste for, I mean, like your Possum's site came out looking really good. I love the typography and everything. So, I mean, yeah, be able to dump that straight over into Replit, get all of the back-end stuff, turnkey, ready to go. Sounds like a time saver to me.
Yeah, absolutely. So some folks here, Rich saying, "Hey, KG, what's up?"
What's up, Rich?
Yeah, I think this. Yeah, people are excited about this. I think it's interesting to me that it's part of a broader trend of us making it easier for people to get to Replit no matter where they start. So as I mentioned, we have a similar functionality in ChatGPT. You can just call the Replit app with the @Replit tag, and you can port stuff over from ChatGPT. Now we have Claude. We have this new MCP that makes it pretty straightforward to work with Replit from any other agentic type of platform. And so we kind of want to make it easy for you to say to start your work elsewhere if you want, and use all the different tools that you feel comfortable with, and then ultimately come back to Replit and take advantage of all of the great stuff that we have here on Replit. So more on that. I'd be interested in hearing like where else you would love this functionality to exist. Like, are there any other platforms or applications that you're using in your stack where you think it might be a little bit easier to have a back and forth with Replit? Drop that in the chat. Would love to kind of hear that out. Have you been using Claude, KG, to design stuff?
Yeah, a little bit here and there. It's just I've got poor taste personally, and it's really hard for me to kind of just articulate what it is that I'm looking for, short of sending in a screenshot. So, um, Agent does exactly what I need it to do. It's just I'm kind of bad at taste, so sometimes using other services kind of like gets it done a little bit easier, makes it easier for me because I don't know what I'm doing trying to design a website like visually. So it's all
Yeah,
me.
people love this. I mean, I think for me, the biggest use case for me is going to be around having a chat in Claude and having Claude do a bunch of research. Although I'm doing more and more of that in Replit now because now we have this chat mode. But historically, or like my default workflow has been, just have a conversation with an AI assistant, whether that's Claude or ChatGPT, go back and forth and just kind of flush out some of the details like the name, the copy, what other competitors are out there in the space, any key influencers I want to target. Just kind of do a bunch of research up front, and then at the end of that, just have that AI assistant generate a prompt for me. Like, okay, like now that you have all of this context, then like give me a prompt for Replit so I can copy paste that over into Replit and start building things out. And
Yeah.
so for me, that's going to be the best use case is like, oh, if I want to have a quick chat with Claude about something that I'm thinking, just like thinking about like the different angles, and then like, okay, I'm ready to build. Now let's port it over to Replit and start building very straightforwardly with the connector. And then on the design front, yeah, there's a couple of templates there that I saw on the Claude design that I liked. I might play around with those. I might see, how fast it is at iterating. So I might try that out a little bit more. But now that I have that export functionality, I don't feel like that's going to be wasted work, or it's going to be hard to export that or to kick that off in a Replit, which is really nice.
Yeah, exactly. And just to echo what you said, I mean, I'll do like workshopping for super project prompts. That's what I call them, in a different LLM, say, for instance, like ChatGPT or Gemini. And that's usually my workflow is I'll port that over into Replit, and then Replit will do all of the hard kind of construction, building, doing all the code generation and everything from there. So having Claude directly connected to Replit just makes that workflow like super easy. Just one click instead of having to restructure something or whatever, rework a prompt and then get that over. So yeah, super cool thing.
Right here, Mark is saying, yeah, less cutting and pasting. Absolutely. Yeah, that's my plan here as well. Ray Pittman saying, I don't use Claude yet. What would be the benefit of this? I think, if you're already in Claude and you're into that ecosystem, I think this is super helpful. So as Jean-Luc mentioned, some folks have like connectors, they have context in Claude, and they just want to quickly reference that and to spin up a project. But if you're not that into the Claude ecosystem, my personal recommendation is to kick things off in Replit and just have all of the context live there. So as I mentioned, like there's now like a new chat mode in Replit here as well. Let me share my screen so I can walk people through this. So, my project is live there. So if I go to, let me bring this up, share this tab. I can just start like a conversation here, like, hey, like I'd like to talk about like this idea of starting a doggy daycare for my area here in the Chicagoland area. Can you walk me through this? Maybe do some research in terms of what I should call it. What should the landing page look like? And so this is similar to what I demoed on Claude. And this is newer functionality that I'm using a lot more of. So now this ability to start in chat and walk through those details directly in Replit is super convenient for me. So Ray, I would say, I think this is, if you're like really into the Claude ecosystem and you have all the work there, this is going to be super handy. Some folks, using that. For me, I'm here in Replit to do the research and just have everything here in Replit. And what I like about this is just I just start off here and I have all my context to go directly in mode without having to think about exporting or anything like that. So just for you, Ray. But again, there are a lot of like power Claude users out there, so we're just trying to make it easier for them to work with Replit and Claude as well.
and
All
things
right.
to make. So, yeah.
Very neat. So with that, I think let's bring on our next guest. We have Carlos from the Race to Revenue series. So let's bring on Carlos here to have a little bit of a chat. KJ, you're gonna hang out backstage. I may bring you back on, dude. So be ready.
For sure.
Hey, Carlos, how's it going?
Hello, hello. How's it going?
Oh, ¿Cómo estamos, Carlos? Un placer.
Excelente.
Yeah, vamos a hacer esta entrevista en español. No, I'm just kidding. I do have to practice my Spanish though, because me, Raymmar, and Francisco keep talking about having a Spanish live stream, but I think my Spanish needs a lot more work before we get there. Carlos, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about what you're building.
Thank you very much for having me here. If you need something in Spanish, of course, I'm more than glad to help. If you need, honestly, sounds really good. Can you hear me? I think I have a lag. Is it me?
Yeah, you have a little bit of a lag, but we'll just work through it. Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, tell us about yourself. Tell us about what you're building.
Well, really quick, I'm a Colombian folk. I've been a coffee farmer and has avocado farmer since I have memory. I was born between coffee crops. Then I started making business with other kind of things, exporting has avocado to Europe and to the United States as well. And then I found myself looking on the web to how to improve my skills for something that I needed, and I found this thing called AI. Then I found Replit, and I'm in love with it.
That's amazing. And you were also part of the Race to Revenue series, right? How did you get involved with that, and what was your experience like there?
Well, Race to Revenue for me was like a game changer because, like being really pragmatical right now, I started building my company NeuraAgro in November 2025. Okay, like started thinking about it, what to do. Basically, what we do in NeuraAgro is allow the farmers on the field to do their daily records using WhatsApp and phone calls, saying things to WhatsApp such as, I just harvested the plot 3. Margarita, Rosita, and Juan were working there. And we take that information and put it into a traceability system, right? So the entire value chain is now transparent, and you can see the information. The key here is that the people on the field, this kind of people, usually they don't use apps or technology in any way. So what we use is essentially their human voice on WhatsApp and phone calls. All of it, by the way, of course, is built on Replit, using a lot of MCPs, a lot of connectors, APIs. But yeah, that's NeuraAgro. And in Race to Revenue, that was like a boost that I don't know if I was able to do that by myself.
Yeah, tell us about what was your biggest takeaway from Race to Revenue? I guess maybe starting Race to Revenue, where were you? And then now at the end of Race to Revenue, what progress have you made?
Okay. When I started in Race to Revenue, I will say I had the idea and I had a couple of MVPs that I have built on Replit. But I didn't have a clear path to follow. I have been talking with farmers, with agronomical engineers, like this is what we need, and I have built a couple of MVPs, landing pages, validating some hypotheses, but all of that started to be clear through raise to revenue. And even after that, because at this point, we are making our version 2 of raise to revenue, because something that maybe works for you as a builder from going to 0 to 1 is not the same system that is gonna lead you from 1 to the first to the second step. You know what I mean? In my case, we currently have 100 users, paying users. That was a really big milestone for us. We made it like 3 weeks ago after the raise to revenue. And now the systems that we had, I have to entirely change it. And now I'm talking about we because I had to pull someone into the team.
Very neat. So what's interesting about your story is that you don't have a technical background, right? You don't you've never done software development or anything like that. Your background is in agriculture. Your background is in coffee bean farming. And so now you're using a tool like Replit to take that expertise and not only, I'm sure, build tools for yourself and your business, but now you're building tools for other farmers to also do their job a little bit better.
Yeah, exactly. Something that I learned through this path is I love bytecoding, because I can essentially build whatever I want. And a key for me, it's been like delegate the execution of coding to the agent, but never delegate the thinking process. Like, you don't vibe think, you know what? Like,
Right.
and I mean, you still need to understand your users. You can delegate tasks as doing research, understanding your ICPs, giving the agent transcripts of your meetings, but you have to have that meetings. You have to think in the face of the user, the customer, what is really valuable for them. So I love bytecoding. I love it. I will never stop doing it. And this was like an opening for my life. Like, now we can do all of these things, and not just for coding. I've been making videos. I built, because with Replit, you just don't build your own platform. You build the entire system for your business. You know, like, I have a CRM, an internal CRM, which is connected with the Meta API, so I can put ads outside, and I can improve the conversion rates for that ads, knowing what kind of ads converting. It has a higher conversion. But as well, I have internal tools for editing videos. You know, like, all of it inside of Replit. I just put the videos, the images, the footage, whatever I have, and I tell the agent. Of course, I built a couple of SOPs to do that, and I have a brand book to do it. But follow these steps, and he does it. And I have videos entirely edited by Replit. I don't know how he does it. I don't know the how. I know the what.
Yeah, you're referring to the multi-artifact functionality that shipped with Agent 4, which has been a huge hit. This idea that you can have multiple different types of assets in one project, all sharing the same context. So, for example, you might have the landing page for your company already set up. And then if you want to spin up a mobile app, you can just tell Agent to spin that up, and it drops it on the canvas. It shows it to you. If you want slides, if you want videos, if you want internal
Exactly.
tools, all in the same place, which I really love. I
Yes.
think, the way that businesses are going to work moving forward is you're going to have one Replit project, and you're going to have
Mhm.
like 3 or 4 surfaces where customers interact with you. I did a demo last week, and I had my landing page, and I also had a loyalty rewards platform for customers as well, all on the same project. And then I was building out internal tools for the business, so like how to optimize inventory, how to do content marketing, how to do presentations, all in the same project. So that what you're referring to, Carlos, is just the ability to have all of these assets all in one place
Yes,
in Replit. Super powerful.
yes, yes. Because yeah, all of them are sharing the same context. So something you asked me about what I learned or how everything has been since I started the path of the race to revenue career. Um, Honestly, it's been learning to give the agent the right context because he can do whatever you want, but you have to learn the right context in the right moment. You don't want the agent having the entire context of the entire project the whole time, but at the same time you don't want the agent lacking of context that is important for what you're currently building. So I think that's one of the main skills that as a Vibe coders we should be learning.
Yes, adding as much context as possible. I really also like what you said earlier around, offloading the code development to agent, but not the understanding. And somebody else mentioned here that this is one thing that they love about what they're seeing in vibe coding today is that you have domain experts. This is Nadia here. You have domain experts now that can go directly from their experience and what they want to build to building a tool for folks to use. I think that's so powerful, and you have
Yeah.
such an advantage. You don't have to have that software development background anymore. You don't have to go and find a technical co-founder. You don't have to go and find an agency to bring your idea to life. You can just talk directly into agent. You can guide it and build it out with agent.
Yeah. You can see in the cohort, in our cohort, you have a lot of folks like Killian, for example. He understands a lot about his business on the UK, and I think no one else can do the kind of things that he's doing because he understands the process, the SOPs in the industry, and yeah, I learned a lot about his way of thinking, for example. But the key fact is what you're mentioning. Like, you can go straight forward to build something, and if it doesn't work, build it again.
And you have such an advantage as a domain expert because one, you live and breathe this stuff. Who knows the pain points and the potential benefits of certain tools better than you? And I feel like you also have the desire to help other folks like you, in building out tools for them. And so I think it just gives folks like you that have that inclination such an advantage to just directly build it out and share it with folks. I'm curious, can you talk a little bit more about the progress that you've made on the company? Where are you in terms of users? If you want to talk about revenue, like where are you right now? What's sort of the next big milestone for you?
Yeah. Well, we started in the race to revenue. First, I gotta give some context here, because as a solo founder, as a bootstrapper, you don't have these lots of funds from venture capital fund or angel investors or that kind of things. So you gotta find your cash flow in somehow at the same time you're building. So what I found really useful for myself was doing consulting for my own niche while I was building the tool for the medium and small farmers. Okay, so in the same way, I was doing cash flow for me for living and to making the business follow. But at the same time, I was learning a lot of things that maybe I had some sense, some gut that this process was happening in that way, but going inside a company
Hola,
that does it,
bienvenidos a mi cafetal.
it's really different. So when I started doing raise to revenue, I had just three customers for consulting, and I had just 5 or 6 users for the main product, which is the Farm Copilot that we are seeing right here. Now I have 100 users for the Farm Copilot. Each one of them is paying $20 per month. So we are growing. Now I don't need the consulting side, so I have more time to improve my own business, and that's gonna accelerate the process. My next milestone is that I want to close this year with at least 1,000 farms in the platforms, and that's why we are building the version 2 of the platform. Because to be honest, the first version was like I was talking with one user and I built what he wanted, and then the other thing, and that was a Frankenstein at the end of the day. But that was not agent's fault. That was my fault because I was building a lot of things. Now that I have a clearer way to build, and we are building a version 2 that is gonna give us that growth to the 1,000 users.
Perfect. One thing that I really want to highlight, something that I like that you're doing, your go to market, at least to get your initial 100 users, was leading with your expertise in doing consulting. And I really like that, to your point, because those consulting gigs tend to be higher ticket engagements. They're more hands-on, but what you're doing then is you're learning about what's really valuable for folks. And then you're taking that and you're thinking about how to digitize that and scale that and put it in your application. So it's a great way to get feedback on what your actual application should do. And then secondly, as you're working with these folks, there's, usually in consulting, there's like a big upfront period where you're hands-on, and then you're like doing work, and then you're getting them on a glide path. But then it tends to be more hands-off, right? So it's awesome that you have now this option to offload them onto like, hey, like, we were working together for a couple months now. I charge you thousands of dollars. Guess what? Like, I have everything that we've been talking about in your whole plan. Now it's in my new application. It's only $20 a month. Isn't that a great deal for you? And so it's a great like onboarding, top of the funnel type of work for the application.
Yeah. I always seen that exactly that way. Like for me, I don't do fundraising. I find customers. Like that's my fundraising, finding consulting customers. And I learn a lot, but honestly, a lot from that conversation, from that process, that I can put on my application. And that consulting implicates, of course, building custom software for them, building custom apps, building a lot of systems for them. So I can take all of that to my platform at scale. So yeah, I love that process. It's been working for me. Building a business is not easy. It's not like an easy path. Sometimes you struggle a lot, but I love this process. In my case, I love what I'm doing because I've been in the position of the farmers that I serve, where you work too hard to have in a crop, and at the end, the market put the price for you, and you don't know why. Reason why, in many cases, is because you don't have traceability for your systems, so you cannot get certified in many ways. So that's what we do for them. So I understand that pain, and that's what moves me.
Yeah, you have that motivation. And I think, like, there's this notion going out like, okay, so what's the competitive edge? If everybody can vibe code a new product overnight, How are you going to win when there's so many copycats that could potentially be out there? And I keep coming back to this idea of motivation and desire to solve the pain point that your app is trying to solve. And I think that's top of the list because you connect with these folks as you've been there, you feel their pain. You're going to spend a lot more time thinking about what is the right feature set to give to them. You're going to think about the maximum amount of value that you can provide for your application. You're going to be like super hyper focused on the user experience and the pain points and the value that you're creating. And so that I think is one of the key differentiators. This is how you're going to win in a world of vibe coding where people can just stand up new applications right out of the gate. And also your domain expertise. You know the space better than anybody. So if somebody's going to try to compete with you, then it's going to be tough for them because like the nooks and crannies haven't been in this business for a long time.
Yeah. And digging, doing some zoom into the consulting side, because I think this may work for a lot of folks. If you give the people the chance, something that I've been doing is hey, use Replit. I will teach you how to prompt and build your own stuff. Do it by yourself. I'm not going to tell you how to do it. Do it. You go 3 days later, and what they did was essentially trying to automate their own process. There will be some gaps that you help them to close. In Replit, you don't have security gaps, thanks God, like in other platforms. But but you will maybe have some API connection that was not made in the proper way, right? So you help them with that kind of things, and they have a system that works for them, and you understand what they really want, not because they told you, but because they built it. So now, again, you can go back and use that knowledge to your own system.
And the other thing to call out, and I like this idea of go to market. You lead with consulting, you get cash flow, you get strong signal, but you pointed out a potential problem with that, in that if you go and you try to integrate everything that you're doing on the consulting side into your application might get too much sprawl, and it actually might be too custom fitted to one client, to one person.
Yeah.
And those features might not scale or generalize to other builders or other potential customers. And what's interesting is that this is an issue that startups face all the time. And I keep thinking, like, we're all becoming founders now. We're all becoming startup founders. And the lessons that startups have learned over 10, 15 years, we're all having to learn for the first time. So like I've been at a couple of startups where like you land one big client and you're really happy about it because it's like Fortune 100 client and they're great. They're paying you a lot of money. But then your entire roadmap gets dominated by that one client. And then you just build for them. And then what you find out is that then you're locked in into that one client for your application, and the stuff that you're building for them isn't necessarily stuff that's going to generalize to other folks. You can't scale it out, and that becomes very problematic. I've seen that a couple of times. It actually happened to me at a startup that I was at, and so it's interesting that you're finding that as well. You're realizing that. The neat thing about where we are right now is we'll just be mindful of that. Understand that you may not want to get locked in. There's a couple cool things about that. One is because Replit's so easy to build out custom applications, you can give them their own custom experience and be completely custom fitted to them, and maybe like offer to them as a standalone service. Two, you're pivoting. You've got like an app that has a whole bunch of features. You're going to do version 2. It's easy just to pivot off of version 1 and start building version 2. Because it's just like a couple prompts or like a weekend, you just like coming back and culling down the different features and like hyper focusing on what you want to take to market.
Yeah. Thanks for that, because it's true. You find yourself fighting in your mind a lot of times. Like, okay, this is for them. This works for them. And talking clearly, the kind of folks that will pay you $3,000, $4,000 for a consultancy for something customized. I'm saying that numbers in Colombia. That's That's a number in Colombia, of course. That's a number in other places. But someone who's paying for a customized app or a consultancy process is really different to the one who's paying $20 per month. So that's why I say you don't do vibe thinking, because you gotta understand these constraints, where to pull, what's the trigger for each ICP, and yes, of course, not everything it's solved. It's every day is chaotic, but not from the building side. I mean, this is like thanks God we have Replit, because it solves a lot of things from the building side. Now you have to focus on the other side, what you were saying, the kind of things that makes you different from anyone else who can vibe code.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's, there's, I think generally, like when it comes to businesses, there's two modes. There's the building side and then there's the selling side. And I think Replit has completely solved the building side. So you want to vibe code something, a new platform, no problem. You can do it in a weekend. But it doesn't mean that your job is any easier. Now you have to focus on the selling side, distribution, marketing, making strategic decisions about what you're going to roll out in your application. Like, okay, this consulting client is paying me $2,000. So, do I add that to this app? Is everybody else going to use this, or is this going to be for them? Is that going to take away from the overall experience from all my other 100 users that are already on the application? Do I build a custom standalone bespoke app? So to your point, Carlos, you don't do vibe thinking, definitely do vibe coding, but you can't offload your understanding of the problem and the strategic decision making that you have to do as a business owner. Now, that said, I do think that Agent is still helpful in having those conversations, but almost like treating Agent as a consultant for you. So you might say like, hey, like I have a new feature for this client. They're big. What do you think? Should I add this to general availability on the application? Why or why not? How much should I be charging for this? Is the margin going to be there? Yeah. So like using Agent as a sounding board and as an advisor for you as you're making those strategic decisions, but not offloading that decision to Agent directly.
You said it perfectly. Like have the conversation, get the information that you don't have. Essentially, the agent knows more about anything than you know. So ask him. But at the end, you gotta make the decision. At the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Also, can you talk a little bit about some of the integrations that you pulled into your application? So I noticed that you're using WhatsApp. That's somewhat unique. How hard, maybe talk to us about how you're integrating into applications like WhatsApp and other surfaces that the farmers are comfortable with. Because I think this is something that we don't appreciate that much here, maybe in the US, but a lot of folks in other countries, they do everything on mobile. They do everything on platforms like WhatsApp. So the fact that you have this whole working on WhatsApp, tell us about that integration, how that works, and how you implemented that, and any issues that you had doing that.
Well, first, WhatsApp is essentially the operative system in Latin America. Everything runs on WhatsApp: business, sales, personal stuff, work. Everything is on WhatsApp. The way how I integrated was using the Meta API. To be honest, I don't know how the agent did it. I just took the documentation from the Meta API. I told the agent, hey, this is the documentation. This is the most updated documentation. Use this. Don't use all documentation. I want to integrate it. Then I want to build this agent. So what it does is it replies to, first downloads the audios and transcripts that audios so the agent can give response to that. Also, I can send images, download images, videos, files as well. So essentially, it's an entire application which front end it's WhatsApp. Okay, I have a entire backend for that connection, but WhatsApp has a lot of tools that you can have. The main problems that I got was doing the connection was really easy at the first point, at the first step. The first step was only connecting text and audios. That was really easy. Then connecting files, videos, that was harder because I had to do the storage, but it worked at the end. It was like 1 day of prompting.
Gotcha. So there's a couple of different steps here. So one, that's interesting context. Like you knowing your market, and the idea that folks just want to interact with WhatsApp. Like this businesses are running their business through WhatsApp. That's like their main interface. That's great. And I think what you're referring to is, in terms of how to set this up. If you're unfamiliar with a particular connector, how to connect into something, I'd suggest two things. One is look at the integrations tab in Replit. So actually, let me bring that up here. Okay, so one is I would look at the integrations pane in Replit. So if you go to Replit, go to integrations, and then look for the integration here, and try to go that route. This is going to be the easiest way. You'll just sign in. You'll get like a modal to log into your account, and it's probably the easiest way. Sometimes we don't have an integration that's available or connector that's available. In that case, then I would search for the WhatsApp Meta API documentation. So yeah, I would grab some documentation here and copy paste the docs here into Replit, and just have Replit build out all the functionality. Now, you may not even have to do that, because I have, if I go back here, I started this prompt here. I said like, hey, build me a puppy daycare app where the primary interface is WhatsApp. And I jumped into plan mode, and then like I can see like agents asking me questions here.
That's great.
Like, okay, I want to use, I have a Meta account, so I'm gonna use that. Drop that in there. What do I want to do? Book, schedule, check availability. Cool. Drop that in there. Let's see. Just WhatsApp for now. And then AI powered freeform. Sure, why not? Suggestions. Cool. And agent will go do that work. Now, oftentimes agent can do the research for you. So like that step of looking for Meta API, I don't even think I have to do that. If you're having, if agent doesn't get it right, that integration for you, then I would go and look for the documentation, copy paste that, and just drop it into context for agent, and then have agent work on there. But I think this would be a better jumping off point, is just go into agent and have a conversation about what you want to do. Focus on the end goal. Like, I want to have like the service provided through WhatsApp. I want them to be able to book an appointment. I want them to be able to get updates on their information, their files, and then like go you agent, put together a plan. So here's my plan. What, why, cool. WhatsApp, customer service, cool. And then just start building. And then what you'll probably find is you'll probably need to set up some sort of account with Meta. And so for that, just ask agent what to do. Like, okay, cool. Where do I have to go in Meta? Like, what's the link? Where do I have to sign up? Is this a paid option? What do you need? And then like agent will tell you like, oh, I actually need the API keys from this. Go to Meta, pull that, drop it in here, drop it as a secret, and just have agent guide you through this whole process. Because as you mentioned, Carlos, I mean, the reason why you don't remember, you probably just did this process. You're like, hey, agent, like set this up for me. Here's what I want.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. Like you're saying it, and I was like, oh yeah, I did that. I didn't know how to do it, so I asked the agent. What do you need? I need this token and this other. I don't have it. I don't know what you're talking about. Where do I find it? And literally told me, click here, click there, copy paste, and okay, I did it. I work for you now.
Well, there's this idea that soon we're gonna have, there's gonna be a service for humans to do tasks for agents. So
Okay.
an agent's gonna be able to go and hire a human to do a task. So it's kind of something like that. But no, here I think you're guiding agent on what you want. Again, like
Yeah.
I want this interface in WhatsApp, and then you saw the questions pop up. Here, what does the Meta account do? Um, so WhatsApp is owned by Meta, formerly known as Facebook. And so usually these companies want you to have an account there, to just, to manage. And then you probably need to you may need to set up like a developer account to get API keys so that you can grab those secrets and details and bring them into Replit. So to answer your question, Rookie, that's why you'll need a Meta app. Instagram as well, also owned by Meta. So it may be that you just need one Meta developer account, and then you can use Instagram, WhatsApp, Threads, all of the brands underneath Meta. But again, if you don't know that, you can just ask Agent, and you can have Agent walk you through that.
Even though we have we connected the Instagram DMs, so our automated reply as well in our accounts. So anyone who texts on DMs to NeuraAgro will be answered by our agent.
That's awesome.
And yeah, again, you're building a business, you gotta think in systems, like where users come from, and what AI can and what Replit agent can help me with. And honestly, that's like the 95% of cases.
Yeah. Thank you, Uncle Fatty. Yes. Meta is Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. And that's really neat. And so when you were setting up the Instagram reply, that's really cool. So how does that work? Like if somebody sends you a direct message on Instagram, they get an automatic response, or is it like comments, or how's that working?
Yeah. For now, it's just DMs. For now, it's just DMs, because what I want is, and I have it working just for the paid ads, not for the organic DMs. The organic DMs, I answer them by myself. But I want people who click on an ad, an immediate response, and a humankind response. So that's what I did. I'm paying for ads, immediate response, a qualifying system. Like if this person is actually qualified to buy, then boom, with an agent as well. Then we have a second qualification process. What is that phone call? ElevenLabs. We have integrated ElevenLabs. It's a connector that we have there on Replit. So it's our business runs on WhatsApp, ElevenLabs, and all the backend is on Replit, and a web app that is on Replit as well. But okay, so going back to the funnel, it's DM, phone call to a second qualification, and then you have a meeting with a closer. That closer is me.
You're the closer, man. ABC.
ABC. ABS always be selling. So I assure that I only have meetings with people who is essentially begging to pay. No one is begging to pay. I would like to be that way, but they are really qualified at the moment when we have a meeting. So it's just a matter of explaining the details and closing. This is not a product-led growth business. Yeah, always be closing.
That's awesome. Okay, so to recap, that's actually really neat. So someone goes on to your Instagram, they like what they see, they send you a message that triggers a qualification routine, goes back and forth. Yes,
Yep.
this is a good prospect, validated. Cool. Now you go and you do an automated interview, goes to ElevenLabs. You have an ElevenLabs agent, talks to them,
Yep.
confirms that they're a real person and that they're like ready to buy. And then only then
Yep.
do they hop on a call with you to like like get going and like start
Yeah.
the process. That is really neat. Is this like a separate project that you built, or is this like a different artifact, the same project? How did you build this out, or is this integrated into your website?
It is a second artifact on the same project.
Wow, that's what we're talking about, internal tools. That's amazing. That is
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah. I don't know how many I have. I have a lot of them in the same project. I have different projects as well that have automations. Like the editor is not in the same project because it's too big. The storage has to be really big. So I needed that in another project, but almost all of it is in the same project. We have a lot of ElevenLabs agents because when a farmer in the product itself, when a farmer, I mean, it happened 3 days without doing any record. That happens a lot because, to be honest, my main customers are not the farmers itself, are the owners of the farms who has someone working in the farm. So usually what happens is that someone working in the farm is not doing the records through WhatsApp, at least in the first 2 or 3 weeks. So we have a trigger, and the agent calls the person on the farm and ask him, "Hey, I didn't get records from you in the last 3 days. Nothing was done, or did you forget about telling me?" And then we parse all that information and put it on the system. What usually happens after 3 weeks is that the person in the farm just gives up and start doing the records through WhatsApp because he knows the agent is gonna call him anyway, and he's not gonna give up about calling him. So they start doing the records.
That is so cool, man. That's so cool. I think that's a giant opportunity. I feel like that service could be a standalone thing for many businesses. So like you can go to like almost any business and say, like, I'm going to streamline your inbound automation process, or I'm going to streamline your employee verification or action type of processes. I feel like you can do that in many places. And the fact that you custom built all of that, just vibe coded, that's so cool. So you're using ElevenLabs agents for that. Did you do that directly from Replit, or did you go to the ElevenLabs platform first, set that up, and then integrate into Replit?
I had my ElevenLabs account before building on Replit, and I had a couple of agents there, but never find the way to make that agents work with my platform. So what I did was essentially start a new chat and, "Hey, this is what I want to do. That agent needs the kind of tools that I want." Something that works for me is I'm really visual, so I draw things. I draw really ugly. The things that is my sketch are really ugly, but I do a lot of them. And I sketch that, I take a picture of it, and I upload it to the agent. And like, this is the kind of process that I want, the kind of tools that I want for the agent. And that's it.
I love it. I think, yeah, I gotta do more of that, Carlos. That's so cool. It's such a great use case. I love it. Yeah, somebody's saying here, I'd love a presentation where Carlos goes into detail. Like, you screen share, you tell us what you're building and how you're doing it, dude. People would love that, I think. So we gotta do that next time. Like, show us how you vibe code, man. You're doing some cool stuff over there, dude.
For sure.
Okay. Any tips that you can offer for folks? Like, if you had to start from scratch again, like how would you do it? How would you approach it?
First, you don't need to talk with any. You can have an idea, build a quick MVP with a couple of prompts. Always paint the door before building it. And if someone knocks into the door, then build the door, and then build the building. So build something really fast as you can, and as fast as you can is the same day. You can build something in 3 hours by prompting, something that can be a starting point for a sales process. Mainly not the main product, but you don't need the main product. So build that MVP user, some user. Don't ask him for feedback. You are not asking for feedback. Go and sell. Hey, I have this. This is what it does. The payment is this. This is how payment works. Are you going to pay for it? No. Okay. Probably they will tell you no at the first time. Probably. So start understanding why. And then you come back when they tell no and they tell you why they didn't want it. You build what they didn't want and you come back to that same user. Okay? And I will say that's the fastest way to start from scratch.
I love it. People love that. They're calling it the Carlos method. The Carlos method right here, trademark here live on the stream. Paint the door.
So it's not mine.
It's yours now, Carlos. You're making it famous. Paint the door. If somebody knocks, okay, then go ahead and build the door. I hadn't heard that adage. That's really good.
And then build the entire building.
Right. Then you got to do the building and everything, but only after you've gotten that initial validation. Amazing. Carlos, super great. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I'd love to have you back on as you're making progress. Well, one, you're dropping like amazing tidbits for everybody. I'm learning a lot. I'm taking notes over here. But two, we just love to keep track of your progress and
having me.
I think you're lagging there a little bit. One more time, Carlos.
It's gone.
I think you're back.
I'm in a farm, so connection doesn't work.
Get a Starlink, dude. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, we are on it. But
yeah.
Thanks for having me. Keep following.
All right. I think got stuck there. Thankfully, we got through most of the interview without those lag issues. Okay, cool. So I am going to include all of the links for Carlos, the link to his business, the link to his socials, and then we'll get him on there. Let me just bring KG back here. All right. Had some technical difficulties there at the end. But I'll link to all of his socials and how you can follow Carlos' story. And I think I got to have Carlos back. He's killing it, man. So many great ideas there. What do you think, KG?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Carlos dropping knowledge left and right. And yeah, no, definitely the Carlos method. I think he's going to have to think about, patenting that or trademarking it. But
that's his next consulting. That's his next consulting offering. The Carlos method. Yeah. Paint the door. Paint the door.
No, that's super good stuff too. Paint the door, open the door and then build the building on top of it right there. Don't stop. Always be selling or always be closing too. So yeah, those good knowledge bombs.
Yeah. And I love having on different builders and entrepreneurs and learning about the different methods that they're using for go-to-market. So this is actually the first time that we've had somebody on where their go-to-market function is consulting led, which I actually really like. You might consider this. And again, it's this idea of offering a big ticket offering that's very custom, that's very hands-on, that's going to leverage your domain expertise to solve a problem for someone. And so you're probably going to charge like, I don't know, like hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for something like this. And the great thing about that is that you get cash flow right away. Two, you get information and detail in terms of what's really valuable for your end user. Three, you get testimonials. So if you help somebody, you just like all in on helping them get the desired outcome that they're after, they're going to rave about you. They're going to love you. And then four, you get potential buyers of your application when you do stand up that service. So I really like that. That's a really good approach that I think people should consider. Probably something that's a little bit more niche, like very like, there's, I think, certain offerings that lend itself to that type of motion, but I think that's something to be considering.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what I like about Carlos's process is, I mean, he treats everything as a consulting session, and that vibes a lot with well with me. I did business to business sales for almost 15 years, small business consulting as well. So handling all of those individual pain points and then being able to produce that kind of bespoke software that is custom specific to what they need, you're solving their problem right off the bat. And like you said too, I mean, somebody likes their stuff, you solve their problem super easy, it's cheaper than everybody else. Word of mouth is going to kick in. Next thing you know, you're going to get more people coming to you. So it's a win-win all across the board.
People loving Carlos here for sure. The other thing, I mean, again, like, the other thing to highlight again is this idea of using multiple artifacts in one project. I can't tell you how big of a game changer that is. And really, that's only available on Replit. You can't do that anywhere else. Something that we rolled out with Agent 4. It just takes like a next level type of infrastructure to do that. But it opens up so many possibilities. So I think, like, you're going to have a project for your business and you're going to have everything you need for that business in that project. You're going to have a whole bunch of external customer facing apps. You're going to have a whole bunch of internal tools, like the one that Carlos mentioned, this inbound Instagram validation workflow. Amazing. So you're going to have a bunch of those internal tools. You're going to have your different assets, like all your presentations for like quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3 on sales, maintenance, big projects, etc. All the presentations there, all of your marketing material in like the different like posts, the different content, different videos. It's all going to be in one place. And the biggest thing there for me is the fact that you have shared context around everything. As Carlos mentioned, oftentimes if you're not getting the result that you want from Agent, it's not a matter of brains or smarts, it's a matter of lack of context. And so to the extent that you can streamline that, instead of like having to copy paste all of that context from scratch every time you want to build something new, to the extent that it's all in one project and it's just everything is one prompt away, you could just say like, hey, Agent, for this business, build me a mobile app. You make sure you use the same styling that I'm using for my website. Go. That's one prompt. Agent knows exactly what to build, all the functionality, and then can also share resources across those different apps. So the same user authentication that you have on your website, boom, that's automatically available on your mobile app. If you have a sales database in that project, you can pull that into your presentations. Like, hey, what were the sales that were generated in the last quarter? Read the database and put together a really cool presentation to my investors or to my stakeholders around why we're having an amazing quarter. To me, that just opens up so many possibilities.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, having everything all consolidated into one workspace like that too, personally helps me a lot to just keep focused on what else I need, what needs attention, instead of having to go through multiple different services that are providing a certain specific aspect of my application or my project. Super useful to just hop into Canvas, check out a different artifact, get it done that way.
The monorepo. This is what Ruth is calling it. Yes, the monorepo. So it's mono, like everything all in one, and it's just one giant repo that's connecting to everything. This is also how Jason Lemkin referred to it when he's talking about his agents. The other cool thing that Jason was doing is he's actually leveraging Replit Agent as the agent for like the actual things that he's looking to do. So he has like this giant monorepo that has all of his contacts, all of his customers, all the emails that he's sent. And when he wants to crank out a new email, instead of having a custom service for that, he just goes into Replit Agent and says like, hey, put together an amazing outbound email for VCs to come to my event and just go ahead and send it. So Replit Agent, instead of being the actual builder, is the actual agent doing the work. And that's possible because Jason has this giant monorepo. The other thing that I'll mention as well is another great tidbit from Jason is that he's like he's got all these agentic frameworks now, but they didn't start off as agents. They actually started off as simple dashboards. So I think that's a first good step is like, if you have some data, some information you want to keep track on, maybe like your outbound emails and like their open rate or something like that, start off by putting together a simple dashboard in Replit. That's a good jumping off point. And then like start layering on more agentic services and more context and more information. Try to keep as much as possible in that project so that then you can leverage Replit Agent as your agent to do all these cool things. That was Sasser day 2. He was our last interview of the day. Man, he got me fired up, man. It was so good. Yeah. So definitely go check out the replay. A lot of great tidbits there.
Yeah. Great point. I don't have something nearly as advanced as that, but I did have to ad hoc build an invoice generator and connect Stripe and everything to it. I basically just dump my hours sheet directly into Agent's chat. It just does all the semantic stuff, populates the invoice, fires off the payment email, and then notifies me whenever it gets paid. So, I mean, for that kind of automation, you can use Agent directly for it too. So.
Chris, makes sense. Yep, on the ball here. Verity, no, and then, dude, like I gotta leverage more ElevenLabs agents. That is so cool, man. Like,
dude, you're missing out if you're not. Honestly, it's super powerful.
Weekend hackathon project for me.
Yeah, let me know how it goes if you want some insight on that, because yeah, voice agents for everything.
Oh man, that would be good. Like sometimes like I'm trying to get guests on the show and I want to like chat with them first. So maybe I'll like as an initial step, I'm like, go check out my ElevenLabs, like interview like agent, and then like have like that, like have the conversation, get all the context, all the information, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down on the guest, give me all their details, and then like automate that process.
Yeah, there you go. New automated vetting process pre-stream.
Yeah, no. And we got some more on like ElevenLabs. We got something that you might want to tune in for. It's a little bit later here in the show. Got 150 people still tuning in here, at least on YouTube. So we tend to drop some tidbits, some teasers here at the end of the show. I'm wondering, yeah, I think Ruth, any other questions here? Feel free to drop it in the chat. But Ruth, yeah, mentions, that she had spoken to someone that was using Claude Design, and they were kind of stuck because it just had this UI. And I think that's the problem that I see as well. Claude Design is a good place to get started and to like start putting together some nice UI, some new front end. But that's not what an application. That's not all that an application entails. As you know, KG, like that's just like the front of it. Like that's like the pretty top layer. But to have like a fully functional application, there's the back end, there's a database, there's a user authentication, there's actual deployment. You got to put it on a server. You got to think about security. What if you get DDoS attack on your website? You got to think about URLs, domains, all like there's like a ton of stuff you have to do from a front end UI to a deployed application. And so, yeah, Ruth was mentioning that someone started there and then that she recommended just head over to Replit. And yeah, I think that's a good way to frame it. Like I think things like Claude Design, great way to do brainstorm, get a sense of the UI. But then when you want to make it real, you want to make it secure, you actually want to start onboarding customers, you want to start taking payments, all that stuff. That's when you want to push it to Replit.
Yeah, a good way to frame that is stuff that's built in Claude Code directly. Use that as it's more like just a mock-up, a temporary kind of a facade or a placeholder. It won't have the depth of infra and functionality that you would get turnkey stuff directly in Replit. It is complex, but I mean, Agent handles the large majority of all that stuff, and it's all integrated in one bill, which is also another super cool advantage. You don't have to worry about managing a ton of different services and whatever else.
Yeah, and then I got some other comments here, like, okay, well, what if you start in Claude, then you go to Claude Code? Again, Claude Code, I think, is great for developers, but you're gonna have to do a lot of manual stuff, and there's less guardrails in Claude Code or or other um, developer-focused IDEs. And so, if you want to stand up a database, okay, so you have to go and research what database you need to stand up. Like, is it a Supabase? Is it a Google Blob storage? Is it a Postgres database? And then you have to go to Supabase, set that up, and then bring that into your Claude Code. You have to think about user authentication. Are you going to do clerk? Are you going to like roll your own? Then you have to go and grab that and put that together. And so it's just, it's a lot more hands-on from a technical perspective. So you have to make more technical decisions if you're going those other routes. And you also have to go to different tools and stitch everything together. So if you'll see some of these projects that get rolled out that are vibe coded in other platforms, and you ask them what they use, they're oftentimes listing out 7 different services that they're all stitching together. I use this for the front end. I use this for the database. I use this for the authentication. I use this for the AI. And what we're trying to do is make that much more simpler, to put guardrails on all of that. So if you need user authentication, we're going to give you the best out of the box authentication, make it easy for you to integrate AI stuff without having to go to other services. And we all want it to be in one place and to be as close as possible to one prompt away, so that you can focus on those other things that we've been talking about with Carlos and other folks, on the distribution, on the strategic decisions in terms of what your roadmap is going to look like, on your differentiation, on your focusing on your customer pain points, on your marketing, on the selling part. To like just have the build part be like as easy as possible for you, so you can focus on all those other things.
Yeah, definitely agree. And the other advantage too, like a huge one, is the security agent and security monitoring, and just being able to block off all of the like package poisoning and dependency poisoning that was happening. You don't have to worry about that stuff while building on Replit. I mean, if you're trying to do that in Claude Code, I mean, you're going to be sitting there going through different type of, exploit logs and trying to make sure your dependencies are all updated to the most safest version. And that takes up a whole bunch of time, to be honest. I mean, I've had to do that before stepping into Replit. I mean, the reason why I'm using the platform is because it's just so easy. Just, hey, get this taken care of for me, so that way I can start focusing on doing like a promo reel, or working on another project that I want. It saves up a ton of time, and you don't have to worry about, oh, okay, am I going to have to worry about somebody sitting there finding an exploit on my site and I expose a bunch of user data or PII, which is just going to be a nightmare if that ever happens. So I mean, there's defense.
Yeah, Rich knows here. Yeah. Services like Postman or GitHub. You're gonna have to set up your own GitHub if you do this somewhere else. Again, if you're a new builder, if you're technical, but even if you're technical, I found folks that are technical that are using Replit, they don't want to deal with all the DevOps stuff. They just want to quickly prototype an idea. They don't want to stand up a database, even if you can. Why would you want to do that? They don't want to stand up things. They don't care about that. They want to see their idea come to life as fast as possible and to be able to share it with folks. And so that's why I see a lot of technical people use Replit. But even if and especially if you're not technical, why are you going to take all that time to learn like how to integrate Supabase, how to integrate Clerk, how to set up your database to be secure so it doesn't leak stuff? Like, I think that's you should understand and appreciate it, but you shouldn't learn all the technical details to do that. You should just like ask Agent to do it for you and like move on. Like, how are you going to sell this thing?
Yeah. If you don't need to, why would you? I mean, unless you're weird like me and I just like knowing everything. But I mean, just let the tools do the work for you, and get things done faster, and being able to pump out that idea way easier.
On the security front, KG, I was recently at an event, and one of the speakers got up and he was talking about him starting with vibe coding, and he talked about an app that he vibe coded, was really excited. This was off of Replit. Excited, he launched it to the world, and then after the announcement, he got a DM from somebody thankfully a friendly person that said that they had hacked their vibe coded application. They had access to all their database, all the folks that were using their application. And I went up to him and I said, "You didn't build that on Replit, did you?" He's like, "No, I didn't." I knew right away, because when you're vibe coding this stuff, like, you just have less guardrails in place when you're working elsewhere. Very important to appreciate. And so, for that reason alone, I think it's best to start off with Replit. And if you want to start with Replit, build there and like just get going when you're learning and you just want to do it in a safe, secure way, Replit is the best way to go. Later on down the line, you get more technical. Maybe you want to expand, you want to use other tools. But I think right at the gate, you got to start with Replit, especially if you're non-technical. And you got to recommend folks starting with Replit if they're new to vibe coding, because the last thing that we want is, this is just for the industry as a whole. We don't want people to get started with vibe coding and have a bad experience like that, where like they're so excited, oh, I'm vibe coded, great, I spent all this time, oh, now I got hacked, great, like this is not for me. Like that is such a buzzkill, like such a like a bucket of cold water on you.
Yeah, and to another point too, I mean, Replit, the whole platform is still infinitely customizable. You can still go in and go into the CLI and you can manage your own integrations, run your own API keys, do all of your own connecting and stuff like that. If you are a more technical user, I mean, that functionality still isn't there, or still isn't taken away. It's still there. So, I mean, you're free to use the platform, whichever way you prefer. The other thing too is the agent really is a truly general agent at this point. You can throw anything you want at it. You can be as direct and technical as you want, like very explicit. You can give it a PRD and tell it, here, I need this done exactly this way, and it'll get it taken care of too. So, I mean, it's just easier for like low code, no code users, or people that are starting out in vibe coding. And then you still have like that huge capability ceiling that if you're a more technical user, you can do all your fine grain stuff like that too.
Absolutely. I want to address this comment by Manuel. Clerk isn't as good as I thought. Are you kidding me, Manuel? I want to know, like, Clerk is considered top tier for user authentication and management. So, Manuel, I'd be curious to hear about where Clerk is falling short. Are you trying to start with Clerk and integrate into Replit, or are you calling the Clerk integration directly from Replit? Tell me more about that, Manuel. I'd love to hear about that. But Clerk is generally considered the best authentication service out there. So if you're having trouble with Clerk, I don't know what you're like. I don't know what you're comparing it to. It's gonna be hard to beat Clerk. Very neat. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, KG. As you know, yes. Per usual, all of these live streams are recorded. You can go back and replay it right now if you want. It's on our YouTube channel. I'm also going to send out a recap email with some of the key insights from today and all of the socials from our guests, details, blog posts, things that you want to check out, and then also a little bit about what's coming up next week. So if you want that, head over to the Luma event and sign up for RSVP for the event, and I should send that out shortly. And then if you want to keep up to date on all of our events, make sure you're signed up for the Replit calendar on Luma as well. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Thank you, KG, for filling in. Rockstar, dude, coming off the bench, making a big difference. 6th Man of the Year award here to KG. Thank you so much, dude. Thank you so much to everybody in the chat. Appreciate you. We'll see you next week.
Later, everybody.